So let's get to where this subject came up because we've kind of confessed and talked about some things at a higher level. But one of my group members over on Facebook and my Coach Parker and the guys group over there sent in an Instagram video of a young youth player doing a hype kind of team thing before pregame, and he was cussing about every fourth word, like a maybe a pro like maybe Ray Lewis in the locker room before the game would be talking to adults, and it was quite shocking to be honest that this 9 or 10-year-old player was doing this whole Ray Lewis thing. And at adult level, I don't mind this, but at youth, it was a little bit much. And he asked me this in the vein of what was it, the Tiny Tykes show on Friday nights or something, where this kind of
Mhm.
stuff was happening too. And he asked me what I thought about that, and that how youth coaches should respond with, should we be teaching that? Should we allow that to happen? Now, since
It's good to
yeah,
see you.
Zach and coaches, how is everybody this Sunday? I guess we're recording on Sunday. How is everybody?
Oh, man, I'm sure everybody's rocking. People are either watching their film or opponent's film, or they're watching NFL. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's a good Sunday, or people go to church or spend time with your family, whatever you do on a Sunday.
Family time, NFL time, that's always good. A little football, church, and family all three together. Maybe a little roast and apple pie thrown in there too. So
Did you do a roast today, Coach? Is that what you're telling me?
I have not done the roast, but I am doing, and they're coming from HEB, the big grocery store here in Texas. I've got some dino ribs coming for the barbecue tonight. So I'm pretty excited about that. My first dino rib try.
What is a dino rib? Are you Fred Flintstone?
Yeah, exactly. So they're a big thing down here in Texas now. It's kind of like a brisket type meat, but with the bones on them. So they've got all the ribs, and it's got a lot of meat on them now, and they're kind of cooked like a brisket in a way. Man, they're fantastic. I've had them at several restaurants and decided to take it. HEB had a good sale on them today, so have them delivered here in a few, and hopefully it turns out great.
Nice. So you do you do it on the grill? How do you do it? What's your flavor here?
Yeah, I've got a grill smoker, so I kind of do both. I'm not big on smoking, so I kind of do an offset kind of grilling kind of thing for a couple of hours with them. So it should be fun. It
That's
should be
awesome,
fun.
man.
I can cook some really good steak. It's hard for me to go to a restaurant now because I've kind
Mm,
of gotten my steak thing down. So
mhm.
yeah, so we
And you don't have
barbecue
to
here in Texas.
pay you don't have to pay what you have to pay at the store because it's way less if you do it yourself.
Oh my god, it's half, easily half.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you go to a really high-end place, I mean, you've got all the other accoutrement that go there. So now you're looking
Accoutrement,
at
that's a big word.
yeah, you're looking at 75% more at least on that stuff. I love Perry's here in Fort Worth, and for two people, that's 250 versus maybe 70 for a
Right.
nice set of steaks and everything at the house.
Nice, coach. So, you can have your steak and eat it too, right? I guess, is that the phrase?
Yeah. Yeah, and save some cash. So,
That's right, that's good stuff.
yeah, that's my plan tonight. Hopefully, maybe somebody else is here in the South or in the North or anywhere barbecuing. Good luck on your barbecue because I know it can be tough sometimes.
Mm,
It's always
absolutely.
you always hope for that happy accident, right? That something
Mhm,
happens, it's like, "Oh, I learned something. Here we go."
mhm. Absolutely. Coach, we were talking before the podcast. I'm looking forward to this topic of conversation. I think this is much needed, and I know I have fallen short in my sportsmanship towards, I don't know, officials, other coaches. I think this is a really good topic for us coaches to talk about.
Yeah, same here. Like I was saying earlier, I didn't. It is Sunday, and I know I'm kind of churchy background. You are too. Hopefully,
Mhm.
we don't sound like preachers, and we are, without sin. So whoever's going to cast that first stone, kind of thing. So we may sound sort of preachy on some things, but we have done some of these things we are talking about for sure.
Yes.
So, we're not perfect, but we're trying. Everybody
Mhm,
tries to do that. So
mhm,
take it, hopefully everybody will hear what we're trying to say, and maybe we all learn from that.
mhm,
Uh, I do want to say that this bad behavior kind of sportsmanship stuff comes up, and the bad behavior is always focused on a lot. And I want to get this out because some guys don't listen to the whole podcast.
mhm,
I want to celebrate the great sportsmanship videos and examples that you guys have. So leave those in the comments for us. Tell us what you've seen as great sportsmanship and what's moved you. And we'll try to talk about that maybe in a future podcast and not really focus in on some of this bad behavior. And let's
mhm.
celebrate the good. How does that sound on a Sunday? Let's
Oh, I like
celebrate the
that.
good.
Yeah,
Kumbaya.
absolutely. It takes me back to, oh golly, this was 2017, 2018, 2019, that era. I actually got quite a into quite a beef with an official that, it was well known we didn't like each other, and but what happened was at the end of my time in, that area coaching, we became really good friends. He actually came on my podcast twice,
That's great.
and
Yeah.
it's cool how it kinda came around. Now I shouldn't have started I shouldn't have gone at him like I should have. Um, I saw a call differently than he did, and I should have been more professional. I was young and dumb. But I think there's
Yeah.
always room for, like you were talking about, like room for improvement, talking about the good. And yeah, this is like confession for me on the podcast.
On Sunday.
me
Yeah.
me as a
Let
Catholic, I'm
let
going
me
to
go get my
confession about my
collar on
former.
for you, and we'll go through it.
Right. That's right. Bless me, Coach Parker, for I have sinned.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with that one because I think it's cool how sometimes we make mistakes, but then we can overcome and repair relationships, and it becomes something that's good for both of us.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's funny you say most of my best friends, we've all butted heads first and then, kissed
Hmm.
each other after. So that's good. Yeah. I was talking about, similar situation when I first started coaching 15 years ago in this league. A friend of mine that I've coached with forever in that first, I think, second game, there was a ref that if you got on his bad side, pretty much the whole season was screwed for you. And so I was chirping at him, and he was giving me those looks. And my friend goes, "Don't do that to him. It's going to go downhill." And then he and I, the ref, have become really good friends too after that first couple of issues that we had in those games. So it's funny it happened to you and it's happened to me where they've become close friends
Hmm.
from where it didn't start so well because of a couple of bad calls. But what I've learned, and you've probably learned now as we've grown older coaches, uh, they don't see everything,
Hmm.
and some of the rules that you think should be there, like an NFL rule or a college rule or your league rule, are a little different, and they don't know all these rules. There's a ref now in one of my private groups that talks about this. Those refs don't know all these quirky league rules and some of the youth stuff,
Hmm.
so they miss some of these calls. And so you'll see something, and they're not perfect. They didn't
Hmm.
see it because what we have a referee clinic every season. In I guess in high school games, there's like 6 refs and more in pro
Hmm.
games and stuff.
Hmm.
And at youth level, there's 2 or 3 reps, and they may not be professional reps. So you as a parent or a coach and your expectation of what's going to happen for them is tough, right?
Hmm.
You've
Yes.
got to reset
Yes.
your expectation. And I've learned that. I've been on teams when there's been YMCA teenagers as refs, and I know this is in soccer a lot. The younger, they
Mhm.
kind of bring refs up that way. You kind of have to give those guys a break. They're learning. They're just kind of youth players too, and so I think as a coach or a parent, jumping the reps is a bad thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
which leads into the big issue that's going on. I mean, you probably know it. Is there's a huge shortage in referees in all sports right now?
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
It
big shortage.
Big
Yeah.
shortage because why do you think?
I well, I think people don't wanna be berated
Yeah,
and or be physically attacked,
Yep.
and
All the above.
all the above. And I think it's hard to find volunteers for a lot of things these days. I know referees aren't volunteers per se. It's not free, but it's not like they're getting paid a ton of money to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's their extra hobby, stay in shape.
Right. And they're taking time away from family, friends,
And they
and
also love the game and the kids too, right?
yeah, they're doing it because
Yeah.
they like the game.
Right.
And as a head coach, when I would see a guy on the field who, like, the officials would tell me he's new, he's like, this is his first year, I would go out of my way to praise him,
Yeah.
because you want to keep the new people so
Yeah.
they can grow and develop. They're going to make mistakes just like I make mistakes as a coach, but they continue to grow and develop, and they become an expert official, and then they can recruit their friends. And we're trying to work on the shortage of officials that we have, because I know in Maryland there we play games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because of that shortage of officials.
Yeah, I've heard some friends in Colorado, they've had to cancel a weekend or 2 because they had a shortage, and so some of the games
Mm,
that they had scheduled got canceled because they just didn't have reps.
mhm.
And that's really unfortunate. I know here, locally, we've had to make some changes, uh, to get more for a long time, our league paid for professional high school reps, which was
Oh,
great.
geez.
Yeah, it was really good. Now, there were only 3 or 2 a game, but here recently, they've had to stop that because there's just not that many anymore that will subjugate themselves to a youth game because there's no control at youth level versus maybe a
Right.
high school, middle school level. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the youth it's like the OK Corral on some of these games. So they've just a lot of those guys. And no, talking to that friend that I talked about, he had said that they will specifically not go to certain youth areas because of the parent issues that they've had in the past.
Mhm,
They just won't rep those games.
mhm.
So that's really unfortunate that goes there, which really comes up on this quote that I heard a couple of years ago. And forgive me, I wish I knew who the quote was from, but it talks about without an opponent or referees, you can't play a game.
That's so
You're only
obvious, but,
yeah, you're only
like,
gonna play
yeah.
yourself. I mean, so if everybody's like your opponent will play you and the referees, I mean, what's the sport then? You're
Yeah,
gonna
and
practice?
right, you're gonna practice, like you've done all week, and
Yeah,
it's I think it's important that we don't find our value in wins and losses, and I think I have to remember that
yeah,
is, "Hey, I'm gonna win some, I'm gonna lose some, and this is not the end of the world. I need to treat people with class and dignity and respect." And I think if I took that mindset, it would help me as a coach just treat people how I would want to be treated, the golden rule, right? That's how we should be towards one another.
yeah. I mean, that's great. You just brought that up. Right before I came on, asked Chat GPT or Gemini AI to give me some quotes about sportsmanship, and what you just said came from Lombardi. If you can't accept losing, you can't win. I
Right.
mean, there's a
Right.
whole lesson around how you can lose, losing and the value of that teaches you what winning is really supposed to be like if you don't know losing. And so when a call goes against you or you lose and you just basically lose your character in that
Hmm.
minute or two, you're just you're hurting the whole sport, not just yourself, your team, your coaches, but the sport. Because if you're doing that to an opponent or referee, that just yeah, that's just what bad behavior.
Well, and now everything can be recorded.
Oh my
So
yeah,
it's
really.
being aware of people have phones that can record you. And yeah, just, and to me, that's just more accountability of, hey, I
Yeah,
need to respond correctly to what I perceive as a wrong, right? A bad call, a coach doing something unethical, or something I just don't like. It probably isn't unethical. It's just something I don't like, and to act like the adult in the room and then
Right.
de-escalate the situation as needed instead of pouring gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, so we've talked about a couple of things we've done as coaches. I will say my sophomore year as a player, the
Oh
bad
man, here we
behavior.
go.
Yeah, my dad freaked out, and
Mm.
I think some of the coaches probably pushed it a little bit because everybody wants this mean kind of player. And I played outside linebacker, and I enjoyed that. And I was on varsity my sophomore year, and it was very cool. And I guess to show some of these older guys, I don't know, when I would make a sack or a good tackle, I would kind of stand over the dude a little bit and
Okay,
growl
coach.
and then make a sound. My dad was going crazy about, you do that, you're grounded. And and
Mhm.
and yeah, I shouldn't have been doing that, but it certainly enthused a lot of my teammates. But really, that's as a coach, a youth coach, I'd be freaking out. Like you just can't do that anymore.
Mhm.
And I probably should have been flagged a lot more than I don't think I ever got flagged. I think I did it right to the point. But yeah, that was certainly behavior as a player. That Bill Romanowski kind of stuff, which I always liked him. Yeah, I don't think that's definitely not in youth football. It may be a little bit higher levels. What are you seeing that kind of stuff in the high school and or wow? I shouldn't have done it. I'm just gonna say I
Yeah.
confess.
I mean, I got
Please
my
forgive
fair
me.
share of personal fouls in high school from being a little over aggressive.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like players, I don't think players have changed. I think what has changed is what we as adults tolerate. And I think if as a coach, if that's not something you tolerate, if there's accountability there,
Right.
and I think you gotta let kids have fun, but there's a line there, right? There's a line
Yeah.
of okay, we don't cross this line, and
Yeah.
we've used different things for that um, to try to help remind our players nothing not like a barbaric punishment, but something that reminds them, hey, that's not for the betterment of the team. A 15-yard penalty on a celebration is
Oh,
you're
yeah,
playing
that's
for the other
killer.
team if you do that. You're
Yeah.
on the other team. You're helping the other team. So we want to make sure we want to have fun. We want to celebrate with our teammates, but we don't want to embarrass the opponent. And that's if it's trying really to embarrass the opponent, that's when there has to be some sort of consequence from a coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that embarrassment thing, I hate it. I saw it the other day in the NFL. The receiver's 20 yards ahead of the defender, and he holds the ball back and waves it, and then runs in the
Right.
end zone. That stuff just gets me. And then the extra, I don't know, the NFL, besides the betting, which is killing me because every commercial is a betting thing. Uh, is the over celebrations that they're doing now in the end zone. Was it Walter Payton or one of the great players was like, "I'm just going to hand the ball to the ref, and that's the character
Right.
celebration we're going to
And that's
have.
enough.
That's enough." And
Yeah.
and I think that's gone a little bit too far now. But that's old school Steve probably. Do you find it weird that everybody, the NFL guys or college guys celebrate? They're losing the game handily, but they will celebrate they got a sack, and I'm like, this is the first quarter,
Mm.
and you're down 20 points. So I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe it's old school Steve on that one.
I think some of it is players feel like they have their own individual brand. I heard somebody say this years ago that
I heard this past week. Somebody talking about this particular subject.
like you have to as a player, you're supposed to develop your brand, and I
Yeah,
I definitely bristle at that because that is not something I agree with. I think that
the team
you
brand.
the team brand and let your film speak for itself.
Yeah,
Like let your tape speak for you. Like what you
right.
do between the whistles. And I get that culture has changed and some of it I think is good fun. Like some of those celebrations are fun. Like, oh, that's interesting. All their teammates are getting involved. That's like they're being a
Yeah,
good teammate. Uh, but like you said, if you're down by 4 touchdowns, I don't know there's really much need for like celebration per se. But if they're playing hard and they're doing the best they can, I can understand it to some degree. Yeah.
So let's get to where this subject came up, because we've kind of confessed and talked about some things at a higher level. But one of my group members over on Facebook, and my Coach Parker and the guys group over there, sent in an Instagram video of a young youth player doing a hype kind of team thing before pregame, and he was cussing about every fourth word, like maybe a pro, like maybe Ray Lewis in the locker room before the game would be talking to adults, and it was quite shocking, to be honest, that this 9 or 10-year-old player was doing this whole Ray Lewis thing. And at adult level, I don't mind this, but at youth, it was a little bit much. And he asked me this in the vein of, what was it, the Tiny Tykes show on Friday nights or something, where this kind of
Hmm.
stuff was happening too. And he asked me what I thought about that, and that how youth coaches should respond with, should we be teaching that? Should we allow that to happen? Now, since the 2 or 3 weeks ago when I asked for topics for us to talk about, that video has disappeared, of course, on
I'm sure it
Instagram.
has.
I'm sure, yeah. But I have seen, and this is where maybe I'm older and out of the demographic now, but other videos of youth coaches, the youth coaches basically doing that to their team and talking to their team like
Hmm.
that, cussing every fourth or fifth word, and almost berating the team if they're not doing something. And I'm shocked by it. I never grew up in that kind
Yeah.
of environment. But in the comments of these videos, those men coaches that were cussing and doing all this to with these youth players were celebrated, that more coaches needed to be that way with these youth players, because if they don't use that language, their homes have that language, and so they don't respond well.
Mm. That's an
And I
interesting
was like,
take.
okay, so that's a different take. Of course,
Hmm.
I've never heard that take, but I was shocked at how many, and I was like, am I a prude?
Oh, jeez.
I don't,
Oh, that's funny.
am I really this old now and a prude about this cussing and yeah, so yeah, the coach was asking me, should we allow this to continue? And somebody should talk about it and say, this is probably not right at at, like, I would say 14U and below. I mean, high
Mhm,
schoolers, even then, probably not.
mhm,
But I mean, what do you think? I never enjoyed, or coaches using the cussing, that never
mhm,
motivated me. I was more an IQ guy, so you had to talk, this is
mhm,
strategy and I can do this. But what
mhm.
do you think at the youth level? I don't think we should be doing that with our youth. But there is that culture thing that maybe they respond better to that. So I'm
Mhm,
not there.
mhm.
What's your take?
Yeah,
To
I
be put
can.
on the spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we both just speak for our own experience.
Right.
If I had if a coach used foul language, that wasn't like it slipped, or like it was like once in a blue moon, like that's fine. I understand that. Trust me. Like I get that. My language is not always perfect either. But if
Right.
it is like if it's a planned speech and that kind of language is happening, my kid wouldn't play for that team anymore. Like
Right.
we're not going to do that. I'm not going to expose them to that. Now that's my experience. And I think that we as adults need to model the behavior we want our kids to exhibit.
Right.
So if we are expecting them to act a certain way, then we need to act that way and use that kind of language. And I go back to, coaching youth league, high school, middle school. We want them to be good employees one day.
Right. Oh
And
yeah, this is great right here. Yeah.
we need to teach them how to speak professionally at a young age.
Right.
And I think that all ties into what we were talking about is they have to be able to use words that are appropriate, and their boss one day doesn't want to be cussed out. And that's not a good look as an employee in their future years.
That is such a great way to look at that. I think, you're right. We all slip and have, we've all cussed and done that. But I think you're right. If it's a plan and you're going through that thing, I think that's probably inappropriate. And I think what you've said, I mean, there's a time and a place, and what's in that box, this probably isn't, that doesn't fit this particular box. But yeah, I
Mhm.
I would say at youth, I'm not in agreement with planned speeches with a lot of fiery words that maybe you don't hear in church.
Right.
But I was my first coach, and John Lewis is the reason that I coach, was a Baptist deacon elder in the
Mm,
Baptist church, and so I never, for 4 years, 5 years, I never heard those words because
right.
that
Right.
we practice at the Baptist church facility.
Right.
So, yeah, I grew up in that environment, and then our coaches in middle school and high school didn't do that, but that was a whole different time, High school, it was
Mhm.
a little bit feistier,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah,
but
I think that how we treat our players is a reflection of how we would want them to treat, like, the people that are under them one day.
right.
And I think you see this come around too, like, with how hazing used to be prevalent. And
Yeah,
I think everybody knew hazing was bad, but the justification was, "This was done to me, so I can do this to somebody
and this is
else,
gonna make you tougher.
make me tougher," and no, it's just all bad. Like, hazing's all bad. And so we just gotta be careful when we justify things because, "Oh, that's how somebody talked to me," or that's how we thought we, air quotes, "won this one game." Well, did you really, or were you just better than the other team?
Right,
Right? Because I think the
right.
kids forget the speech by kickoff, to be candid, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're, now we're playing the game and let's do it. And then the other thing is, like, the language I use towards my players, how are they gonna talk to, like, the official? Because if
Oh,
they
great
start cussing
point.
the official, that's a 15-yard penalty, and now that's hurting the team, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and this comes back to where I wrote down, where do we think this bad behavior is really starting at? Is it is it coaching? Is it the parents? Is it just internal of the player? Is it YouTube? Is it what they're seeing on TV with other players? I think what I saw of our bad behavior kind of stuff is, I didn't have YouTube at the time, but some of the coaches were pushing it, and then maybe some of your teammates, uh, and then yeah, my dad certainly wasn't pushing it at the time, but I think now you have a lot of, you see Kelsey bumping the coach. There's been a lot of other incidents, I think, in the last 2 weeks with college players and assistants bumping each other and they're seeing this on TV. Uh, and then you're seeing like the videos that we just talked about. So I think there's a lot more media of this kind of behavior happening and not a lot of punishment or suspensions because of the behavior. And so I think more people think this is okay. This may be okay behavior.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, society, it's like you said, social media, it's those things that our kids see, but then I also see players and programs that have gone the other way. Like, you look at Ohio State, and they're having, like, their team, having, like, Bible studies and things of that nature and character development, and I think that's always the battle, right? We're trying to win the players' hearts and make them better people,
Right.
and
And it's great you said character. You know, uh, I think that's really what it's getting down to with a lot of these better teams. I mean, Detroit came in, Campbell talked about character. The Bills, just watched their inside the NFL. They were very much character based. And like you said, the Ohio State, I think that's a huge thing that uh, I think players are looking for the discipline too,
Mhm,
because they haven't had it and they enjoy the structure. And
mhm,
I think that the real coaches understand even though this is a talent, he doesn't have character. I'm going to always go for character for the player because he's going to be eventually the winner, and I can
Mhm,
teach maybe the other stuff.
mm. And I look at a guy like Deion Sanders. I love, like, how he is towards his players, how going to class, sitting in the
Yes,
front,
yes,
wearing
that's
the
a great.
right
Oh man,
stuff
yeah.
to class,
I think that
and
was so surprising for a lot of people, don't you?
right, they think Prime and he's gonna have a certain way of acting, but he is, I mean, I would want my kid to play for Coach Prime. Like,
Yes.
he holds his guys to a high standard, and I think that's awesome. I think all young men want that, whether or not they'll verbalize that, but I don't, most people won't say, "Hey, I wanna be held accountable," but I think most young men do want that deep down because that's what's gonna fulfill them and help them to become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, one of the quotes that I found was from Dean Smith, North Carolina basketball coach. He said, "I would never recruit a player who yells at his teammates, disrespected his high school coach, and scores 33 points a game, but his team basically loses." So,
Mm,
that's this character he's looking for the character kids. And
mhm,
I think that's a great thing. But that again, he's what in the 70s and 80s versus maybe
mhm.
what's happening now. Uh, and like I said, maybe I'm out of that demographic as far as the behavior. I keep going back to that, even, I don't know.
Oh, I think what I think it doesn't really, I don't know that matters what, like, age you are. I just think how, like, what we look when we see a behavior, I think it just gets interpreted differently.
Right.
I think for, like, a younger generation, they'll say, "Oh, they're having fun," and maybe an older generation will say, "I'm not sure what's going on there," but I think we all can see good behavior and bad behavior. Like, if a player is having fun, that's cool, awesome, but if you're doing something that's detrimental to the team, and you see it in the NFL now, I feel like if you're in the NFL, even college now, as guys are getting paid, I feel like there is a higher level of expectation for how they act because you're an employee. So if you do something that's detrimental to our organization, that's going to be a problem because you're a paid person now. Like, especially even in college, that's a paid that's a paid player.
Yeah, I think that's where that accountability needs to happen. But like I think, you know, I don't know if you saw the Tyreek Hill speeding ticket thing 2 years ago or whatever, where he just acted the fool and probably should have been arrested. But I was going to get back to, I think some of this bad behavior comes from us coaches not disciplining some of our stars and allowing them to do this kind of unruly
Mm,
behavior. What do you think about that? I mean, we all do it. I mean, I'm look,
mhm,
I know you're trying to keep mom and that player happy and not, when he's sort of uncoachable sometimes and
mhm.
you're allowing some of this behavior, do you think that's leading into, this continuing on as they're a higher level player that they are just used to being allowed the bad behavior?
I don't know. I think it is sometimes we are trying to help our guys become the best version of themselves, and you don't look past behavior, but, like, hey, maybe they have this problem in the past. We're trying to coach them through that, kind of like Bobby Bowden, right? Bobby Bowden wouldn't
Yeah,
suspend guys from games. He'd get up early and run them because
right.
you're trying to give them second and third chances, and then sometimes they just make a choice that, man, that's really bad, and then you have to go and deal with it from there. And yeah, I think that's, as a coach, that's the art. I mean, I think about Nick Saban and the Musin Muhammad story, where the whole university wanted him to kick him off the team, but he kept him on the team, and now he played in the NFL, and now he's doing all this great stuff in culture and
Right.
society. And yeah, it's just a fine line of how many chances you give a player, and that's up to each coach to determine what that is.
What that is. So I've got some examples of what I thought bad behavior. Let's just kind of run through these really fast. Like, yeah, no. What did you think about this? Okay, so it just happened yesterday. The UTOU game, beginning of the game, they get into a scuffle and had to be separated. The whole
Right.
team. No, why? The game hadn't even
Yeah, that's
started. I don't get. I mean, it's like, come on, really? So that's
only
bad
bad things
behavior.
can happen.
Huh?
Only bad things can happen in
Only
that
yeah.
situation.
Who can get thrown out like so media? So yeah, we both agree bad behavior.
Mhm.
So if you haven't seen this video on the Missouri, it's from Missouri coach, right? He
Mhm.
quit over life threats because he was trying to discipline some players on his team. That's bad behavior. The players and the parents went BS crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I would
that's oh my gosh. This
That's like a
just
2-minute
happened.
clip, right? And I would
Yeah.
love some background on that. Like, what exactly is going on here? Because there's
Yeah.
obviously 2 sides to a story. Like, what
Yeah,
exactly is
but
taking
he
place
got
here?
on the news because he quit. Yeah, so there's I would say, I don't know if anybody saw the Cam Newton 7-on-7 tourney where the coaches got in a fight with Cam and pushed him around.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
bad.
these weekend tournament things, that's totally bad behavior. We can't be showing that to our players.
Mhm.
Friday Night Tykes and all the cussing and how the and Last Chance U, those are two TV series where I was like, how? Now I know why they got on TV, probably because it's great TV, but as a player and as a coach, I would have a hard time with that because I thought that was just over the top bad behavior. How about you?
I didn't watch the Friday Night Tykes, but Last Chance U was tough to watch, especially how
Okay.
the player how not how the players, how the coaches talk to the players. And
Yeah.
I'm going, "Oh, man," like and you're expecting the player to act rationally when the coach is not even speaking rationally,
Irrationally.
and it's
Yeah.
like,
No,
"What in the world?"
yeah. So what do you what I think Kelsey bumping coach and a couple of other these player assistant coaches bumping coaches. I don't think you can show that on TV, but that I think is private. And I can see that happening in private, but I think you
Mhm.
have to control yourself in public. How about you? So I would say it's bad behavior
Mm.
in public, not so
Mhm.
much behind closed doors if you want to have those conversations.
Mhm. And, I mean, I remember in college, me and my offensive line coach after watching film, uh, we had it out. Like, me and him had a verbal altercation, and I thought I was gonna get kicked off the team,
Right.
and actually ended up playing more because I think I was right. I knew I was right, and he wasn't, and I ended up playing more, and me and him, our relationship was actually much better after that because it was kind of an
Yeah.
unspoken, like, "I think you're being unfair towards me," and, but that was in like you said, that was in private. I didn't
Private.
do that,
Right.
like, on the field. It was in our filmed setting, so,
Yeah,
yeah, that
I think
was
we
good.
need more role models that just know where they're at. And I know it's hard because everything's filmed now. That's a problem with everybody. But I think if we can do that, let's see. We already talked about top players celebration. Oh, this is one that always gets me when I see some of these high school games now that you're seeing on TV is when the players come out before the game for the coin toss and they won't shake hands.
Yeah, that's just
I
a bad look.
That's
That's
a
a bad
bad
look.
is it that I mean, who is telling them to do that? That really is a terrible look, and, that's so unsportsmanship to me. I don't know what you're gaining there, and, I mean, it's
Mm.
laughable to me if you don't shake my hand, you're not really intimidating me, so I'm sure yeah. So, would you punish run some laps of your players if they did that out there
Oh,
as
yeah,
a high school
that's
coach?
definitely a
What would you
punishable
do?
offense.
Do
Yeah,
what?
that's a punishable offense. Yeah,
Yeah, I
we're gonna
agree.
have some
Yeah.
punishment, and a college team did that a couple of years back, and they ended up getting beat really bad. And, like, the college team they didn't shake the other team's hand in pregame or at the coin toss, and they end up getting beat because I think that can motivate the other team. You don't wanna give the other team any motivation before the
Right,
game.
right. And then let's see. Uh, so probably a year and a half ago or whatever, you saw the video possibly of the ref made a call. He's standing in the middle of the field. Player comes off the sideline and just makes a huge
Mhm.
tackle, flattened him. Yeah, that's just bad behavior. And then the belly flop of the little player the other day that broke his back. These two things by players, you have to know this is bad. I mean, I hope they know this is bad behavior, but yeah, bad behavior by all. on
Mhm.
that deal. Did you see
Yeah,
those?
I think I saw, like, a clip of it on YouTube,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I mean, as a coach, that's a non-starter. Like, you aren't playing for me anymore, you're suspended
Yeah.
for
You're off.
you're off, we cannot have that because you can't tolerate that as a coach at all, those kind of behaviors.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. So we're getting down to it here. I guess, like I said, we talked about all this bad behavior. Let's talk about before we end here the good end on the good
Mm,
note, the good
yeah.
sportsmanship. So for me, the one thing that I saw was a youth game about 4 years ago. Is I was watching a game of a friend, and his son was a big boy lineman, and his best friend was smaller on the other side on defense. And the big boy on offense was always blocking his friend, what I call Butaki. He was putting him on his butt, which is what you're supposed to do. And the whole game, the big boy would help his friend up, and they were shaking hands and hugging after the game. And that was really touching. That in game you want to be as fierce as you can, but you also can be a person and be good and do the right thing. And I thought that was some great sportsmanship there, the way that that big guy handled that with his friend.
Yeah, I think that anytime you see good sportsmanship, you have to praise it. You have to say, "Man, that's what we want." I know, like, at the end of games, let's say you're up by a lot, and you're subbing guys in that wouldn't play a whole lot.
Right.
It's great to see their teammates cheer them on. It's also great to see the other team realize, like, "Hey, this guy is just physically not the best," and they don't
Right.
take advantage of it, right?
Right.
And there's great sportsmanship in that, and yeah, I think it's good to promote that, to celebrate that, because that's what we need to celebrate. I think you're absolutely right on that.
So the league gave me penance one season, because I got mad in the game and put 72 points on a league team. He made me go find a ball and reps and all this stuff, and wasted my time for 15 minutes during a game to get this ball approved. It's when the new Wilson GST ball came out that was a different
Mhm.
color. Anyway, I got punished by the league. And so in a playoff game that we had, I thought, this is what we're going to do. They did not score all season, that team. And they were the low seed in the playoff. We were the high seed, so we were going to play them again. The whole fourth quarter, I let them score, and we were so far ahead. They scored twice, and once or twice, but we were pulling off kids, making the whole left side open. And so that team, after the game, of course they don't know, they were so happy that happened. It made their season because we were the number one seed. And so yeah, I took my penance and did something good out of that, and it made me feel good that okay, I've never done that ever again. I shut it down at 40. I will not go to 50. So that's what a third year coach will do versus a 33-year season coach. You're just not going to do that anymore. So yeah,
That is so good, coach. That
got to
is
learn a lesson, right?
you got to. And this is about us learning lessons and us becoming better people and using the good and the bad to help us move forward, because that's all we can do. What
Yeah.
happened in the past is in the past, and we're just trying to be better today so we can be better in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully some folks have gotten something out of this. I mean, hopefully it wasn't too preachy or Sunday schoolish. And I think we all want good sportsmanship by our team, coaches, and parents. And like I said earlier, if you have an example of great sportsmanship, even good sportsmanship, please leave those in the comments for us. We want to celebrate those, and we may talk about one if we get a great example in the comments. And be a good sport, because remember, if if there's no opponent or no referee, there is no game for you to play. So remember that before you start berating everybody in the stands, parents and refs and coaches.
Absolutely, coach. This was awesome. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you, Zach. Remember to play for winning is funner. See you guys next time.